नमस्कार दोस्तों, मैं अतुल जोशी एएमबी न्यूज़ में आप सभी का हार्दिक स्वागत करता हूं। जैसे कि आपको मालूम है, एएमबी न्यूज़ फ़ोटो वीडियो इंडस्ट्रीज से जुड़ी हुई खबरें आप तक पहुंचाता है। ये चैनल्स यूट्यूब पर मंगलवार रात को 8 बजे रिलीज़ होती है, नए प्रोडक्ट नई सर्विस के साथ। और स्पेशली ये चैनल्स फेसबुक, इंस्टा और व्हाट्सएप के ऊपर भी सभी ग्रुप में हम इंफॉर्मेशन शेयर करते हैं। तो आइए सबसे पहले देखते हैं आज की हेडलाइंस। तो आइए शुरू करते हैं एएमबी न्यूज़।
And once again, we'll be going over something that people always, it's no fun, it's not sexy. Ooh, let's talk about 18% gray today. Rachna, you want to come up and explain 18% gray? Okay, but the students from last week and this week, we will know what that means. And so this is one of the examples I use. Okay, just for fun, real quickly, I got my half hours, I'll keep it into that. But if I shot this with one of the Fuji cameras here, and I had it on auto, would I be underexposed or overexposed in auto? How many people think I would be overexposed? Raise your hand. How many people think underexposed? How many people have no clue? Okay. I think a lot of people didn't vote. Okay, so the answer is you'd be underexposed because it's white, right? So we have to get to 18% gray. You guys might recognize this place. What an incredible thing to come to India and have this monumental architecture. And so one of the things also about architecture comes into travel photography. And so you really do have to wear many hats as a travel documentary photographer. You know, landscapes come into play, sometimes long exposures, lots of depth of field, and then wildlife photography. Don't worry, the fish made it into the bear's mouth. No animal was hurt in the making of that photo. This is up in Hokkaido. I mean, I give this bird credit for being so excited about having a snowball, but and now these new cameras are so amazing. This photo I did it in Chile a couple of months ago. There's no way in the world I could have done a follow focus without the modern technology of all the cameras. And all the camera manufacturers are making great cameras, but the follow focus, to be able to get this in focus flying toward us, flamingos. This is Matthew over here before he got his hair cut this morning. We can show before and after. And this was by accident as well. I sort of fell into this job because I don't consider myself an animal photographer. But I was doing a travel story in Indianapolis, Indiana, and went to the International Orangutan Center, and I did something with a flash and got rid of the background by overpowering the ambient light. And people really thought, oh, that's really interesting, to be able to analyze, to look at an orangutan and see how close family are. There's 5 types.
First question, what drew you both to India, and what made you decide to take a master class up here?
Well, I'd say the whole reason why we're here in India to begin with is Rachna Darda, who took my class in Sicily and Malta. We met in Malta, and we kind of really just, some ways, fell in love with each other, not in a romantic way, but well, maybe in a romantic way too. No, but she's a great photographer. She herself loves to give back to community, And I think she saw an opportunity that she felt that would really benefit the photography community here in India. And both me and my wife were here, and Mark. That's where Mark said we met in Hyderabad about 5 years ago. And again, I can't express enough how much I love giving these workshops with Mark, because of the fact that we're so different in our approaches to photography. And I think that given this opportunity to be here in India and having the two of us who are so different and so well-rounded, both Mark and I are at the very, very top of our field. And what we can bring to a community of photographers is really extraordinary. And for me, I've always felt that the people of India, and I'm not saying this just because I'm here in India, but the people of India are the most kindest, loving, caring people in the world. And why wouldn't I want to come here and share my knowledge to these beautiful people?
And the food's really good too. I'm sorry, I'm a very, he's the philosopher among us. But India is such an amazing place to photograph, to travel. This is maybe my 6th trip here. First time was 2005, then I came back 2006. Did to a lot of places. I interviewed, because I'm also an editor for a bunch of photo magazines. So Raghuveer Singh, anybody remember Raghuveer Singh? Raghuveer and Raghu Rai I interviewed as well, actually. And so it's obviously an incredibly fascinating place, so it's fantastic to photograph here. Rachana is spoiling us so much. I keep feeling like we're getting fattened up for the kill, because every day we have one meal that tops another meal. But Sandra and I did meet at the Hyderabad Photo Festival, and we just clicked, so to speak. And we started. The next year, I invited him to teach with me in Shanghai, and that went very well. Then he invited me to teach with him in Alaska. Then we did something together in Chicago. Next year, we're going to do Dubai, and we already have Tokyo planned and other things. So we just really team up, but we really do have a thread. It might seem like we don't. That he's just powerful studio portraiture, or wherever he does portraiture. But we're both humanistic photographers. I think you can easily see that common thread in both of us. We see the commonality and oneness of people, and there's diversity, but diversity, unfortunately, too much so, and you're seeing this in the United States now in the political arena, is seen as a negative by some groups, and that's really horrible. I just can't see that. I grew up that, my wife, who's, she's back in Japan, and so but we're family forever. As Japanese, I didn't see her as like, oh, she's Japanese and this or my brain can't think that way. And I grew up in a family like that. It's just the way it is. So there's a long answer to a short question.
And before we move on, can we have all the people in the back in the cheap seats move up to the expensive seats? Come on up, please, come on, everybody, move up. Come on. We've got all these seats down here that you don't forget, that you can take a look at and go, that's a Sandro. That's a Mark Edward Harris. That's an Irvin. So when you can relate the name to the photograph, that's iconic.
Yeah, and Sandra was alluding to as well as one of the things I have done as a contributing editor to a lot of photo magazines is I've had the incredibly good fortune of meeting so many amazing photographers. I mentioned a couple of the Indian photographers, and if you think about their photos, like Raghu Rai and about Bhopal, if you think about Bhopal and what happened with the Union Carbide, then there's one shot that just sticks in my brain. Now, everybody here remembers the Bhopal thing, and is it a hand? Something, there's a butt. It's so powerful. That's an iconic shot. Raghuveer Singh, kids jumping off, that's in Varanasi, isn't it? Yeah. That's an iconic photograph. For Americans, in particular, we saw a couple up there. Eddie Adams shot in 1968 during the Tet Offensive. The 1972 shot by Nick Oud of the little girl being hit by napalm. And just remember, in that 2/50th of a second, we're freezing a moment in time forever. What an unbelievable concept. And remember, photography, last year, basically, I go by 1823 as the year for the invention of photography, because it's when Joseph Mies was able to get an image to stick on a piece of pewter, right? And so basically, just for the last 200 years, and it's really then, it took about another 40 years. Anybody know the name Felix Vieto? You guys should know him, because he actually did some important work in India during one of the two Indian rebellions against the British. And we have a picture of what that looked like, even though some of it was recreated, because of Felix Vieto shooting that. That's history that we wouldn't know otherwise. And what a magical thing that we can actually see people that are long gone. I mean, like you saw that picture of Picasso that Irving Penn did. Well, how else would we know? I mean, it's one thing to look at a painting, and we're, of course, throughout history, when we talk about Rembrandt lighting on for photography, well, Rembrandt lighting was the way Rembrandt painted. And so we can see those people through history, through paintings, and it's amazing to see that. But when you actually see a photograph, a reproduction of somebody, that's a direct connection with history. And that to me is thrilling. And so yeah, when you talk about iconic photographs, you name a photographer, we probably could think about 3, 4, 5 maybe. And so I think 10 is pretty ambitious, and it'd be interesting for your own lives too. Think about it might be a fun thing to do is write down the images you think are your most iconic and see how many. And I'll have to do the same thing, because I can think of 3 or 4 that really stand out to me as my shots that hopefully will stand the test of time.
Thank you. What was the most important piece of advice that you were given when starting out? Does that advice still hold true?
When I started out, what was the most important advice given to me? The most important thing that somebody said to me when I was a young photographer is that you'll never make it. That made me become who I am today. Somebody telling me that I can't do something, I won't make it, I took that as a challenge. And I know that I never forgot the moment, I never forgot the person, I'll never forget hearing it. And not that I needed to prove him wrong, but I needed to prove myself right, that I know that I could do this here. So that was, for me, the most important. The most important advice I'd give, if I may, the most important advice that I may give to a young photographer is you better have an appetite for photography. You better sleep it, eat it, love it, 24/7 if you want to make it. Because it's not a 9-to-5 job. It's not a Monday through Friday 9-to-5 job. To me, I always equated to becoming a star soccer player, or you may call football here. It's about as tough becoming a star football player or a baseball player or a cricket player. That's how difficult it is to become an extraordinary photographer. Now, you can become a photographer and have a beautiful life and have a beautiful career, but if you want to become if you want to make a statement, and if you want to be remembered, you better be ready to dedicate 7 days a week, 24/7, be ready to miss your daughter's and your son's birthday parties, miss Christmas, miss holidays, because that's just what it's about. You have to work incredibly hard. And then once you get into one level, you're going to be called. a lot. And you're going to be on an airplane a lot. And all of a sudden you are missing life. But you're creating life, your own life. And it comes back. You're going to have that time to spend with your family like we do today. But I think it takes a tremendous dedication and passion to become a great photographer.
तो ये था एमी न्यूज़। आपने अगर जो ये चैनल सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है तो आप ज़रूर से कीजिए और स्पेशली बेल आइकन भी दबाइए, जिसकी वजह से हमारे जो एपिसोड है वो रिलीज़ होते ही आपके मोबाइल में आ सकता है। तो आप ज़रूर से एमी न्यूज़ सब्सक्राइब कीजिए। और स्पेशली आपको कोई इन्फॉर्मेशन शेयर करनी है तो आप ज़रूर से हमारा नंबर नोट डाउन कर लीजिए, जो एमी न्यूज़ का है 9223392434। और हमारा ईमेल आईडी भी आप लिख सकते हैं info.amnews@gmail.com। फिर मुलाकात होगी नए प्रोडक्ट, नई सर्विस, फ़ोटो वीडियो इंडस्ट्रीज से जुड़ी हुई सभी खबरें के साथ। मैं अतुल जोशी यहाँ से आपका परमिशन लेता हूँ कि नए इन्फॉर्मेशन आपके लिए जोड़ सकूँ।